about different things before heading off to college. And usually, these things include one's life, one's identity, future plans, and success. When I first pictured myself going off to college, I saw a successful girl who had her life all figured out, knew who she wanted to be, knew where she wanted to go. I just had this idea that everything would fall into place. Looking back on my freshman year, I realized that I searched for answers to questions that students commonly ask. You see, I was asking things like, who am I? Who do I want to be? What do I want to do? Where do I want to go? And most importantly, how do I get there? But instead of discovering the answers to these questions right off the bat, I came head to head with life and realized that the way I was living was not on a path to success. I felt the need to fit in. I felt the need to oversell myself to those around me. Tried really hard to be successful at things I wasn't even interested in. I felt the pressure to have this picture-perfect life, perfect boyfriend, and perfect grades. But you see, the term success has really changed for me over the last few years. To me, success is living out your dreams, pursuing lofty goals, and conquering life's challenges, all while being yourself. By the time I had completed my freshman year, I had a picture-perfect feed on Instagram, had a boyfriend, had great grades and great friends. But what I was missing was myself. I wasn't truly being myself while trying to attain these things, which left me unsatisfied, disappointed, and confused as to who I really was at the time. Every college student will go through some sort of identity crisis at some point in their college career. Something I like to call a quarter-life crisis. And if the student is lucky, this crisis won't occur when they're on their parents' couch eating Cheetos at the age of 32. So when I was in school, I really realized that students my age and even younger struggled with this concept of identity. And it inspired me to bring a program to Troy that specifically sought to teach women about their identity and their worth. And I'll touch on that a little bit more in a minute. But this identity issue is something that we're facing today and we're struggling with, and we will for years to come. We live in a world that offers more ways than ever before to promote ourselves, to showcase our talents, to show off, and to be successful. And yet, more people than ever feel discouraged, inadequate, unqualified, not good enough, and quite frankly, lost in the quest of being who they really are. Especially in today's generation with social media, we are more swayed than ever before to ditch who we are and what we believe in, only to be like everyone else. So I guess the real question is, how do I maintain my identity in college? I hope the next 4 points that we discuss together will help point you in the right direction. So diving right in, number 1, be authentic. On my first date with a guy named Leah Langston, I made a promise to myself. Wow. Okay, we're just going to rewind for a second. And there we go. I made a promise to myself this night on this first date that I was going to be completely authentic with him. Okay, by this time I had dated a couple people, changed things about myself, just to make them like me more, to make them happy, which eventually led to a breakup because I was not truly being me. And no one can live happily that way. So like I said, I was making a promise to myself to be totally authentic with him, even if that meant I didn't get a second date. Choosing to be me, even if that's not who he wanted, not who he liked. And yes, that even meant eating a big plate of pasta for dinner and ordering dessert afterwards. So what is the point of sharing this story? Everyone wants to be accepted. Everyone wants to be liked. Social media and the screens that we surround ourselves with make it really easy to hide behind a front, to put on a mask and pretend that we are someone or something that we're not. We're obsessed with creating and posting images that make it seem like we have a picture-perfect life, when ultimately, what we're creating is a false reality and a false identity. And the true reality is that we're creating a standard that we can't live up to. There's a quote that says, "Be yourself. everyone else is already taken. And that's by Oscar Wilde. Turns out that date I went on with Taylor was the best date I have ever been on. And I guess it's safe to say I got a second date. Now that we're married, I am totally 100% glad that I chose to be authentic with Taylor from day one. Live an authentic life by being an authentic you. And that leads me into point 2. Know your worth. Early on in my career here at Troy, I realized and recognized a great need to teach women in specific about their worth, their identity, and their self-confidence. I dreamt of a big event that would gather women of all ages together to celebrate that their identity first comes from within and then shines outwardly. I had the opportunity and the privilege of carrying out this event called Tiaras here on Troy's campus for 3 years. And I also had the opportunity and the privilege of witnessing young girls, college girls, and even adult women discovering and seeing their worth as valuable for the very first time. You see, the impact that this event had on these women was huge because it challenged the standard or the lies that our society feeds us, tells us who we are and who we have to be, or else we're not good enough. This event rewrote and replaced those lies with truth that those women have value and worth that can never be taken away from them. We all have different things that we believe give us value or worth. But what if I were to tell you that what he thinks of you doesn't define you? That black miniskirt doesn't define you. How many beers you can drink in one night doesn't define you. How many followers you have on Instagram doesn't define you. Worth is knowing that you're valuable. Worth is believing that you are valuable. And that brings us into point 3, embrace the unknown. As we all know, life has a way of catching us off guard, taking us by surprise. Things come our way we could have never expected. Doors open we would have never imagined. And they close too. Life has a way of being mysterious in that sense. Maybe for you in your life, it looks a little something like this right now. Not knowing what job you're going to have one day. Not knowing who you're going to marry. Not knowing how to get somewhere without a GPS. Not knowing how to build something without instructions. Not knowing what major is right for you. Not knowing what life holds for you. Sounds like a lot of not knowing. An experience I had early on when dating Taylor really had me rethink this topic. You see, my husband Taylor knows that I love surprises. Love surprises. Love everything to do with them. Planning them, scheming them, helping with them, celebrating them, you name it. I love surprises. Except when I'm the only one who doesn't know what the surprise is. Anyone else in here? Okay. It drives you crazy. And so, every once in a while, he would say something along the lines of, so, I may know about a surprise, and it may involve you, but I can't tell you what it is. Great. Thank you so much. You have just made my life so much more simple because now I'm going crazy trying to figure out what this surprise is. I'm pestering him to see if he'll give me a hint, cornering my friends to see if they'll give me any sort of lead, or snooping around myself just to try and find some sort of answer. I know I sound crazy. So, like I said, I'm trying to find some sort of answer. This example being just one of many in life, I oftentimes find myself trying to find the answers, searching for answers. But here's the good news. We don't have to have all the answers. Life makes it very clear that we can't and we won't. Especially in college, you don't have to have your life figured out. There's a quote that says, sometimes searching for answers only leads to more questions. Diving back into the surprise story for a minute, I can honestly say that every time I waited to see what Taylor had planned as a surprise, instead of knowing up front what it was, way better. Turned out way better than I could have imagined because you see, he had the joy of surprising me, and I had the joy of being surprised. Not knowing the answer sometimes can be a really good thing. It can be challenging, but it can be a really great thing. Just remember, you don't have to have the answer to take the next step. You just have to live in the present. And that brings me straight into point 4. Live present. Anyone in here remember waking up on Christmas morning, really excited to just race out to the tree and see what presents were waiting there, tear open that wrapping paper and see what was waiting for you? Any hands? Yes? So this Christmas, this picture is a picture of my brother and I, my little brother and I, and we were so excited because the gift that we were anxiously awaiting that Christmas was our baby sister. But what if I told you that this Christmas we're not going to open the gifts? We're going to leave them sitting under the tree. We're not going to touch them, open them, nothing. We're just going to sit and stare at them all year long. Does anyone else think that sounds like a complete waste of a gift? Because it does to me. But see, that's the point. Life is a gift. And it's really important that we utilize the gift that we're given in the here and the now, to live in the present. My Nana made a very clear rule that there would be no texting at the dinner table. Does this sound familiar to anyone? So you better believe that even if your phone is about 2 feet away from the dinner table and you're just kind of eyeing it, she is going to call you out on it, in a nice way, of course. But you see, I'm sure she realized when she established this rule that the key to this was living in the present, being present with those that we care about, not missing out on conversation or relationship, but rather enjoying time to bond and be with those in the here and the now. Believe it or not, this is very important. We live in a world that is so fast-paced, and it can be really easy to miss out on the opportunity that we've been given. We're given opportunities, and yet some of us are too busy or too consumed with our phones or our problems that we miss that opportunity altogether. We miss that chance, that conversation, that person. In a world that is so fast-paced, in a world that is always changing, in a world that is constantly chasing the newest, best, hottest, trendiest things, it's important that we live in the present. Be present with your intentions. Be present with people. Be present with those that you love. Be present with where you are in your life right now. And yes, that even means being present in class, but I will leave that up to you. All of this to say, life is passing very quickly. You're not going to be in college forever. You're not going to have that professor forever. And you're not going to have this time in your life forever. So don't miss the moment because you have purpose in where you are right now. Even out of school, I can honestly say that these 4 points are something that I really wished I had fully lived out and carried out in my college career. But whether you're leaving things in the past or working towards a goal in the future, you have purpose in the present. So a quick review of these 4 points. Number 1, be authentic. Live an authentic life by being an authentic you. 2, know your worth. Worth is knowing that you're valuable. Worth is believing that you are valuable. 3, embrace the unknown. You don't have to have the answer to take the next step. And 4, live present because you have purpose in the present. That girl I originally saw going to college, that girl was me. But I didn't know how to be authentic. I didn't know how to show my worth. I didn't have all the answers. And I didn't know how to live in the present because I was constantly worrying about my future. If this is you, let me reassure you from someone who has been in your place, don't miss the purpose that you have with where you are in your life right now. These are things that I wish, like I said, I had fully carried out and lived out in college, but I can say that I'm currently carrying them out in my life today. So I hope that they can be beneficial to you, no matter where you are in life. Student, parent, working professional, retired. I hope that these can be beneficial to you. You and I may not have the same story or the same interests, but just remember, your identity starts with you. Thank you.